Alright, what's going on, y'all? Good Monday to y'all, and I hope everything's going well. Can't complain too much, and just to prove it, I just want to do something that I'm actually a few days late on, but wanted to make sure I got this out. Shout outs to both Jeremiah S. and most especially this one. This is really good. Elon, not Musk. Those are the two new subscribers. As stated, anytime y'all come through with the new subscriptions, I'll be sure to shout y'all out in the next video, or as soon as possible. I'll just try to do a better job of making sure I can keep track of that. So certainly look forward to more of that as time goes by. But we're going to just jump right into things, and we're actually going to be talking about AEW Full Gear here. I just took my time gathering my thoughts on it, and just wanted to make sure that I talk about this as clearly and as objectively as I can. This particular subject I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on, but we're going to talk real quick about the Costco guys. No, we're not here to bring the boom or any of that shit. It's just real funny to me how that's such a thing, and so much so to the point to where Tony Khan couldn't help but bring these guys on for the 0 Hour program, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I just don't know how much I care for it, for the fact that it's one thing to play to trends that are real big and just whatever it is that you can do to get attention to whatever your product is. It's just really, really wild to me that Tony Khan would find it necessary to bring these guys in. But of course, AJ was a former wrestler once upon a time. Actually made his comeback Saturday night and a successful win against, QT Marshall. And I gotta say, I would like to think that it helped in some ways, because apparently the idea to it was to get a lot of the fans of the Costco guys checking out 0 Hour, and hopefully some of them might find their way into being interested in buying the pay-per-view. We'll see how that works out in the coming days, but in all honesty, it was just really wild that there was build-up for this, and I just don't really know necessarily that, again, this is something that would be good to rely on. It's something that is fun for the fans, but I don't know. It's just like there are so many things that I want to get into here as to why they should be building more on what's really good about the product, and I just don't know, but hopefully this is something that helps. I just don't see where it does. We'll find out, I guess, though. But with that in mind, we're going to just move right along, and we're going to talk a little about Mercedes Moné here. I don't know necessarily that I quite understand the overall, I guess, public perspective, at least where Mercedes is concerned. I get it. There have definitely been some shortcomings when it comes to her run, especially as the TBS champion. But I do want to point out here that she was brought in to inject some life into the women's division, and I feel like to a certain degree that she has. But the real problem here is that we're not doing enough with the actual depth of talent that the women's division actually has. I mean, the roster, as we all know, is just stacked. Probably even past the brim for all we know. But if nothing else, I feel like what they did with the match between Mercedes and Stat on Saturday night, it was actually a really, really well executed, well done match, and crowd definitely seemed to be into it. So I think what I'm hoping for out of this is that Tony Khan is seeing this, understanding that there is momentum to be built off this. Maybe you're not going to see a rematch between Mercedes and Chris Statlander anytime soon, but what I'd like to think that in the long run is there are a lot of things that you could build off of, and if nothing else, I don't know, at a point where the fact that she was brought in the way that she was, had all the details in her contract the way that they were, I think we just need to see a little bit better execution on it, but really good between these two. And it was just for the fact that if nothing else, there's promise there. It just needs to be treated a little differently, I guess. But with that in mind, we're going to go into talking about my man Jay White here. And of course, at the end of the night, well, obviously he had his match with Adam Hangman Page, and of course, it was a pretty solid match. It definitely did well as far as the progression of that storyline is concerned. But it's real interesting because both men were actually involved with the end of the show after the main event. And obviously that means they, along with Christian Cage and Darby Allin, are all going to be involved in the title picture. There are those that actually believe Darby will be the one to take the title off of Mox, probably in March at 2025's Revolution, which I think would be an ideal move. That being said, I think one thing that I certainly have to question about it is that this is kind of the way they should have done a lot of this towards the end of Dynamite. I mean, I'm glad they're doing this the way they did at the end of Full Gear, because now a certain expectation has been set. And if nothing else, at least it goes to show that with the focus on the title picture, the moving parts are going to work accordingly in a specific formula that hopefully does what is supposed to be happening with all of this. I mean, I'm not really sure exactly beyond everything that I've stated so far, other than a couple of details here and there, how this is all going to unfold, but what I'm hoping for is that the execution on this is a lot better than what it has been in the past. But with that in mind, as I mentioned before, we talked about Darby Allin here. Of course, the show ended with the Death Riders actually running to the truck that they've been known for rolling around in, and of course, before they could get out of there, that sumbitch gets T-boned like a motherfucker by another car that was driven by one Darby Allin. Now, again, this is about the expectation that's been set here. Obviously, it seems as though the ideal move is for them to have Darby take the title off of Mox at some point, or it seems like it may be, I don't know. I'm not sure if they're going to build anyone else up for that. The only other one that would make sense right now would have to be Swerve Strickland, but he's in a separate deal with Bobby Lashley right now, and I don't know if that'll all finish out in time for that to work out. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Perhaps we go to Double or Nothing with it. But with that in mind, Darby Allin makes an awful lot of sense for the fact that, it started particularly with Mox and Darby, because Darby was originally the #1 contender for the AEW World Championship, which was held by Bryan Danielson at the time, and Mox ended up taking that from him. So in turn, you have Darby take the title from Mox, and even making more sense, having brought up Swerve Strickland, you get to run all that back, preferably at Double or Nothing. I mean, I think that shit writes itself pretty well. Let's see if Tony Khan can actually get this right. I know that I've said before, I've touted that there have been an awful lot of smart decisions on Tony Khan's part, but needless to say, there have been an awful lot of bad ones to go with it. And hopefully we can get more to the good again, which I'd like to think is the case, seeing as how they're straying away from trying to be like WWE or any of that other shit. So, I don't know, I guess we'll find out with time, but with that in mind, y'all know what it is. Let me know what y'all think down below. Like, share, subscribe. I'm out for now.